Hi, I'm Wayne Faria, and today we're going to patch a nick that came out of a fireplace piece. And we're going to try and patch that up. First thing we're going to do is just sweep it off. And then we're going to throw a little water on it. Let it down. And it'll take a couple of minutes to soak in. We're going to take our patch. We've got a sort of a blonde patch, and that's what we're going to use mostly. Probably throw in just a touch of gray because sometimes this turns out to be a little too light for what we're doing. And it's a pretty simple process. We've worked with other mortars. This is Dugan Stone Patcher. Dugan Stone Patcher out of Darien, Illinois. We're going to take some buff color. There's basically two colors of limestone. This is the buff color. You see it seems a little bit light. So we're probably going to add just a little bit of this gray in here. Mix it up. It's hard to really tell. This stuff is pretty hard to match because it's not quite the right color. You've got basically two kinds of limestone. You've got a buff and a gray. And a lot of times you're working with what's called variegated. It's a limestone that's both a mixture of gray and buff. In this case, I'm not sure what we have. It looks pretty much buff, but we're going to see what we can do here. Usually what I do is I put a little divot in there, and I put some water in, and mix it up. And I'm just going to push it in there. Push it in good. And that's it. I'm going to leave that until it hardens up. It shouldn't take very long. I'm going to scrape it off the best I can with a chisel. And then once it dries, I might run a piece of sandpaper over it. Now, this is still good, some of it, so I'm going to put it back in here. I don't like to waste material. So let's give this a couple of minutes and then we'll see what happens. This is set up, I think, pretty good now, to the point where we can start scraping it. And what we're doing here is we're just using the part of the stone that is straight with a straight, sharp chisel. I just sharpened it. It's nice and sharp. And that's pretty good now. So we're just going to let this dry completely, and we'll rub some sandpaper over it. We should be good. Now this stone is just still a little bit wet. You're going to see a dark ring around that patch. And that really kind of highlights the patch. But that's going to blend in once it dries. Got a couple of different grits of sandpaper here. Usually want a really heavy grit sandpaper for sanding limestone. I think we've got like a 36 grit, and this is probably a 40 grit. And I think this 40 grit is going to do it. We're just going to run over this a couple of times and smooth it off. It's not a perfect match, but it's as close as it can come right now. Now this stone is just still a little bit wet. You're going to see a dark ring around that patch. And that really kind of highlights the patch, but that's going to blend in once it dries. Just going to try the mud trick, see if we can get this to be a little bit better match.